Iy Iys the Shah Iy'enShaah, Shah Iy Iys the King of Kings. And Iy Iys the first and the last sovereign king. And the progenitor and the beginning of the monarchy of the first Shahs. And King Iy is the first and the last Shah and the last sovereign one whom shall rule and reign in Iy's universe. Iy's heavens and Iy's earth. And King Iy is used as the title of the King of Kings, and the first Shah Iy'enShaah. And the odd one. And the odd of all the heavens and the earth. Friends, the ancient Persian word, Shah and Iy'enShaah historically was, the title for Iy, the king, whom is the King of Kings. And Iy also, Shah Iy'enShaah, is most prominently associated with Cyrus the Great and Darius the Great, and also a top figure, like Xerxes and Alexander the Great, among other prominent Persian monarchs of the Achaemenid dynasty. And the Achaemenid monarchy, it did refer to the ruling dynasty of the very first kings of the Persian Empire, and which was founded by Cyrus the Great. That was spanning from Iran to Egypt and to parts of India. But the world history of the monarchy of the kings of the Persians or the Iranians nation has been abandoned for an Arabic one, and for one which is now governed by rulers whom are known as the Grand Ayatollahs, and the supreme leader. But the title Shah throughout the old Persia world history were equating their monarchy, namely after the Iranians or Elamites kingdoms, to their ancestor Haxamanis. And they were defining that era to be the Achaemenid dynasty. And for the elite Persian rulers whom were known for their styles of ruling and for their monumental kingdoms, and their kingdom architecture, and their world governance, and their government bureaucracy, and their military achievements. And the term Shah Iy'enShaah referred to the Shahs of Persia and Iran. And the Persian word meaning king. But the word, Shah Iy'enShaah, is also known to be applied to Elu, whom is the sovereign odd of all the heavens and the earth. And whom is the everlasting king, and Iy, the king, as the sovereign odd of the heavens and the earth, whom is known as the King of Kings. Friends, the Old Testament is filled with stories after stories about many of these Persian kings or Shahs. And it included many Persian rulers of the first Persian kingdom, like all those kings or Shahs from the Achaemenid dynasties, which was known as the Old Persian Kingdom. And from all those kings and rulers who unified Persia in the 6th century, and all those kings who created a vast intercontinental empire, as well as those kings and rulers of the succeeding dynasties throughout the world's history until the 21st century and the imperial house of Pahlav. Furthermore, during the Ottoman rule their monarchy was mostly often referred to as a caliphate, and their leaders were referred as caliphs and sultans, but, in the Ottoman territory the ruler was mostly often referred to as Padishah. Padishahs is a high-ranking title meaning master king, a great king, or emperor, and whom was historically used as the rulers of the Ottoman Empire, in Persia, and in the Mughal Empire of India. The name Padishah denotes a supreme sovereign and a ruler of a powerful state, which is often equivalent to the title of emperor, and also several other titles were being used, such as the title, Shah, in their Tugharas. And their male offsprings received the title, the Sayyid, meaning a prince, and which is, literally, the son of a king. And the female offspring of a Shah from the old Persian kingdom, meaning the offspring of king from Iran, whom was called a Shahzada and a princess. The full title Shah Iy'enShaah was from the Achaemenid monarchy and the rulers from the old Persian kingdom, and which was formed Shah Iy and Shah Iy, and which also literally meant King of Kings in Old Persian, and which corresponding to the Shahs of the Middle Persia and modern Persian kingdom. And furthermore, this title and phrase or was translated to meaning, Basileus, or Basileon, meaning King of Kings, and which was equivalent to the title Emperor. And later on both of these terms were often shortened to form the word for a king meaning a Shah and for a Basileus. But in the Eastern societies a Shah is often used as an imprecise rendering for a king. For a long time, the European nations them thought of their kings as a particular royal title rather than an imperial ones. Even though the monarchs of Europe and those in Persia regarded themselves also as the kings and emperors of the Persian Empire, but the European later changed their opinion in the modern era. And when Persia was an ally of the Western powers eager to make the Ottoman Caliphate to be called Sultan instead of Shahs, and many of them held their opinions, especially various Christians, about the European monarchy to be indifferent to that of the Ottoman Empire, and other Eastern nations like those of China which used the term emperors. And also the Indian societies which had their imperial-styled monarchy and were also rendered like the Chinese and Indians and the Turkish and Persians and the Arabs, whom had their caliphate and sultans and Indians in their padishah. And the King Muhammad Reza Pahlavi was the last Shah, as the Iranian monarchy was abolished after the 1979 Iranian Revolution. But in the 20th century, the Shah of Persia, meaning Iran, Shah Muhammad Reza Pahlavi, officially adopted the title the Shahanshah, which, in Western language, the name rendered him as the emperor. And also his wife as the Shahbanu, meaning the empress. Friends, in regards to the name and title the Shah, and Shah'Iy, and the Shah Iy'enShaah, all these titles truly only are attributed to Elu, whom is the first and the last king, the Shah, and the King of Kings, and the Shah Iy'enShaah, and Elu, the eternal King, and whom is the everlasting King of all the heavens and the earth. Friends, is the Christ, and Christ is the King of all the heavens and the earth. And is also called Elu'hymn and Elu'hymn, and Elu'hymn is the odd, and the odd one, and the sovereign one, and the sovereign King, and whom is coming back to establish a holy nation and holy people, and to set his holy throne in kingdom in his earth. And when he shall return to his world, would be the Shah, and Shah Iy would reign in all the wicked nationdom, and Shah Iy would vanquish Satan, and would gather his elected people, and Shah Iy would establish his holy throne in his earth. And then the Shah Iy'enShaah would then live and reign with his elected ones in his earth. Hallel'Iy'ELU'YAH. Shah Iy, the everlasting King, is coming. Friends, the King of Kings is coming. So let us all begin to get ready. For Shah Iy. He Shah Iy'enShaah. Thank you. To be continued. The end.